Welcome to the 700 Club Canada. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'm super excited. This week, we're talking about men's health all week, and we're building it around the greatest commandment where Jesus said, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." Exploring this idea that we are complete beings, body, mind, and spirit, and how can we do that really well as men? And joining me today, I'm super excited, some of the greatest men on the planet, friends, experts in this area. You got it all together. I know you don't, but we're gonna explore this together. So why don't you just introduce yourselves to our audience?
Yeah, well, first of all, Bill, thanks for having me on today. I won't go with all the greatest part, but friend, I'll definitely take that every time. Appreciate having me on. I'm an author and speaker, and we founded an organization called the Christian Business Harvest Network to help business owners thrive in a time where, it's a bit challenging in a business environment.
Awesome. Welcome, Shiraz.
I love it. Love this guy. Yeah, Coach Drew, as you know me, I'm a healing communication consultant. I help parents in particular to do what they struggle with, which is heal using their words and their heart after there's been hurt in the family, so that, there's change and healing and health for the next generation.
I love that. Great to have you, Coach Drew.
Great. My name is Justin. I have the privilege of working at Central Community Church, Weekend Experience Director, one of the executive pastors there, and been there about 12 years, and we love it.
Yeah, well, and just a great, great guy. And so, okay, so we're going to start today by talking about spiritual health. But I think when we talk about that, in our culture, we use a lot of words and we don't always understand what they mean. So when we use that term spiritual health, what does that mean to you?
Spiritual health for me, growing up in church, has meant a lot of different things.
Right.
But ultimately, what I have discovered and learned is that there are certain values that people embody when they are spiritually healthy.
Right.
One of them is humility. That is a really significant thing. And especially in a Christian context, looking like Jesus, knowing when and how to surrender, to be meek, but also to be strong. So having that balance, I think all those are important parts of being spiritually healthy.
Right. How about you, Justin? How would you define spiritual health?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the easiest indicators is I know when I'm not spiritually healthy.
Right.
And when I'm not at peace. So for me, I think it's that journey of all of us are looking to find peace with God, peace with ourselves, and peace with those around us. And when you feel that, and I think there's something about that when you're able to get in that sweet spot, peace with God, peace with ourselves, peace with others. That to me is a healthy indicator that you're on the right track to finding spiritual health.
Yeah, and I love the triune nature of what you're saying. You're saying God, yourself, and others.
Yeah.
There's also this other three-headed cord when they say it's not easily broken, but head, heart, and hand.
Yes.
You used the word flow earlier. You alluded to that, right? It's like, what if there's a lot coming in, but not a lot coming out? And to me, the definition perhaps of spiritual health is being in a place where you're receiving, but you also have the opportunity to pour out. Because if it just comes in and gets stuck and it stops flowing, that can get a little sticky and probably leads to a lot of unhealthy challenges. I'm not referring to constipation, but what if there's this opportunity to let it flow out? And I think that's a huge element when it comes to spiritual health.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are complete beings. I love that idea. And it's being truly connected to God. I love that. Connected to others, and even connected in some ways to yourself. But again, that's really hard for guys, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. Like when it comes to even churches, when you think about it, usually the what we would call quote unquote spiritual are the women. They lead the way. So why do you think it's so hard for men to have spiritual health?
One of the things that I find growing up was this idea that we're supposed to know everything.
Right.
We're supposed to know and be able to do everything on your own, when actually God invites us to learn of Him,
right?
To sit at His feet, to learn, which implies that we don't know everything and we can do nothing apart from Him. So I think that ties in with this newfound expectation for myself to be okay, to be constantly learning, constantly abiding in order to be who He's called me to be.
And you nailed it. You said, in the first part, it's humility, which is hard for guys because we were actually told that you should fight for yourself, defend for yourself.
Shouldn't need anything.
I love that. What about you guys?
Well, I like what you said too, because I think in our culture we are very isolated as men. There's a lot of pride we carry too. We're almost taught not to need anybody,
Right.
you know. And I think there's something about we were actually meant to do life together. And this hasn't been modeled very well, I don't think. You know, in traditional male roles, it's been often, like you said, it's a lot of women, which is amazing because so many women of faith have stepped up and carried their families. But I think there's something that, you know, we as men need to shift that, where we lead and we carry those spiritual, you know, responsibilities for our families and our homes, and just, you know, carrying that torch to go like, we need to fight for that because it's important. And it hasn't been modeled very well, but we can change that.
Yeah, well, we want to hear it from you in a second, Shiraz, but we'll be right back as we continue this amazing conversation on spiritual health. Well, we are back with some of the greatest men in my life who I appreciate and respect greatly. And we're talking about men's health, especially spiritual health today. And I actually want to just talk to the women watching right now. I don't want you to tune out on this because our hope is that we will help you understand, if it's possible, the men in your life, and also maybe some tips that you can help them as well, but just make sure they think it's their idea. Okay, anyway, so we're back talking about spiritual health. And Shiraz, we finished talking about some of the challenges. So what are some of the challenges you see men have with spiritual health? And then what does the Bible say to address that?
Yeah, I find a lot of guys are kind of in this break, fix mold, right? Like from an engineering mentality. Okay, it's broken, I got to fix it. And sometimes I have found that a lot of men it's kind of that fake it till you make it. And that's okay.
Right.
And I think a part of our spiritual journey is discovering who we are with God and who we are in God. So if you don't know what to do, that's kind of okay. And I don't think we need to nail it on a perfect level. Can we just do the old model, KISS? Keep it simple, silly.
Right.
Right? And just keep it simple. Start with what you know, not necessarily what you don't know.
Right.
And see where that takes you.
Right, I love that. Justin, how about you? Is there a particular passage in the Bible that helps you understand this idea of spiritual health?
Yeah. I love it. It may not fully translate to this conversation, but for me it does. And it's that idea of loving your family or loving your wife as God loves the church. And I love that kind of illustration because I think it models really what God's intent was, is that he gave everything for us, that we could experience life and life to the fullest. So for me, I think as a man, I'm trying my best to just create spiritual climates that are healthy. If there's something that my kids can go to, I want to fight that they could be in a spiritual climate where they could experience God's very best for them. So I think for me, it's just creating spaces and safe spaces for spiritual vitality to take place in my home and reclaiming that. And like you said, it's a bit of a learning journey. We're all learning how to do that every day. None of us have it figured out. So, yeah.
How about you, Coach Drew?
You know, I'm really appreciating everything that you were saying, Justin, especially as I think a lot about family culture and the role that we get to play as men, as fathers and husbands. And it just circles back to this idea that we don't know it all. We can't know it all, but we don't have to, because the one who knows it all is present here for us. So he invites us again and again, take my yoke upon you, learn of me. And, you know, I'm just so impressed with that. And I get to show, I have 2 daughters, I get to show them that. Like, I'm dad, I'm here, but there's someone greater who I'm looking to. I don't have all the answers. And that's okay. It's challenging, but I'm okay because my trust is in him. And
That's
get
a
to do
big
that.
word, trust, when it comes to spiritual health.
Yeah.
You know, the beautiful part of what we're all saying, we don't own the responsibility solely to make our souls prosper. He actually wants a little bit more than 50% of the equation. I mean, if we just come to him with what we do have, watch what he can do with that. And I think that's the beautiful part about spiritual health. We don't have to have it all figured out, do we? Well, because check the record, we actually don't.
Right.
And so why can't we just move forward with what we do have and don't worry about having it all figured out?
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so if I'm hearing you guys, I'm going to try to summarize this, okay, for everyone. It starts with an awareness that I don't have it all together. But second, it's acknowledging that that's okay, accepting it. But because there's a God who is willing to step in and partner with me, that spiritual health isn't something I do in isolation. It's something I do in partnership with God and with good friends. And I think for men, that is a big step, to just humble yourself and go, God, I need you. and I need other friends, mentors, people in my life,
Yeah.
and I'm not alone. And it's okay to not have it all together because I'm in process. Does that summarize it pretty well?
Well done.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, okay. So now let's get practical though, okay? Practically, what do you do? We have just a little bit of time left here. Practically, what are you doing to develop the spiritual health in your life? Just we'll start with you.
Yeah. To me, I love this conversation because I think for a lot of people, and maybe even for some people watching today, there's a lot of guilt and shame around this, that you don't do enough or you haven't somehow fulfilled your quota with God and your spiritual development or whatnot. And I think there's a lot of that needs to be shed, that you can do a lot of things really practically. So for me, one easy thing is something I call habit stacking. There's a lot of things that in our lives, we're so busy doing so many things. We got to drive our kids to school. We got to do all these things that we need to do at home, around the house, this, that, the other. But there's all these things that we do all the time, whether you go for walks or you're driving every day. And so it's easy. If you're driving, throw on some worship music. If you're going for a walk every day, press play on that Bible app and listen to the scriptures as you walk, or 5 minutes of gratitude as you're doing your workout or you're making dinner. There's a lot of things you could stack on things you're already doing. So it's really practical. Just 5 minutes a day. You could just stack it on top of something you're already doing. You're already driving. You're already walking. Those are easy ways to just spiritually connect with God.
Yeah,
That is gold. Go ahead, Shrez.
yeah, I love what he's saying about stacking those 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
We all know guys who are working out, getting buff, like Andrew, right? Working it out, making it happen, right?
Yes.
Making it happen. Just squeeze his arm. You'll see he's in there, right? And it's interesting. We're patient with ourselves in the gym. That we know that it's not going to happen overnight.
Good point.
Right? We know that it's going to take months to get to whatever state that you've defined. Well, can we be patient as well in our spiritual development?
Love that.
And let the people know around us, listen, I'm not where I need to be, but can I just bring my 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and can that be enough for today?
Love that.
Can we do that? Yeah.
I love that.
Me too. Me
How about you
too.
get the last word?
Well, I've said it many, many times before. I journal, and that is a form of prayer for me. If I don't unpack and if I don't process and I don't sit and listen for what God is saying to me about me, in my situation, about my emotions, about my thoughts, I don't know what would happen to me.
Right.
It keeps me grounded and it really helps me to hear.
That is great stuff. Well, this week is going to be amazing, but now Robert's life of chaos and violence unravels, leading him on an incredible journey. Watch this.